What's up, y'all? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 10, episodes 11 and 12. All I got to say is let this be like Ashley's last season, please. Please, you can keep everybody else on this show, but please let Ashley go, cause I'm tired. I am so tired of her, bro. I'm so tired. But let's get into this review. So y'all know sometimes before we get in to the review, we get a little spicy just a little bit. And I just have a few things I want to talk to you guys today about. So first up, I did do a standalone spicy corner. And if you guys are interested in that video, it was posted yesterday. No, actually Saturday. It's posted on Saturday. The link will be in the description box below, and I will put the thumbnail on the screen. So let's talk about Watch What Happens Live, all right? So yesterday, which would have been Sunday, Ashley was on Watch What Happens Live with Toya from Married to Medicine, which Married to Medicine so far has been having a really good season. Like none of the episodes have been bad, okay? I've been really enjoying it. So Ashley was on Watch What Happens Live with Toya, and there were two clips that I saw on Twitter that I found interesting that I want to talk about. So the first one is this. They posted this saying the whole saga of Ashley Darby and Jackson Jordan. When I tell you Ashley is weird, and the fact that she thinks this is like cute and like salacious makes it even weirder. But let me play that clip for you guys.
He made the first move.
He did.
And describe when he came in for the kiss, what was going on in your head?
Well, when we touched hands, when I took the key from him, it was electricity.
Okay.
It really went through my body. I know.
Yes.
He's still young. I didn't think that I would like a little youngin' like that. But
Okay. He is 27?
He is.
Yes.
10
Okay.
years younger.
Okay. Why did you keep the kiss a secret from Charisse for so long?
He asked me to.
Oh, he did?
He did. He
Okay.
did. I want to be on the same page about it.
Was there more than a kiss? Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you? So I'm assuming you and Jackson kept in touch after that.
We did.
Okay. Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
see him only the one time?
No, it was more than one time.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Was there a part of you that was worried that Jackson would tell Charisse before you could?
Well, I thought that Therese would see me on her cam, her security cam, and we would get busted. That's what I really thought was going
Okay,
on.
hold on.
I know.
He was living at.
I know.
He was living at.
It gets worse,
He was
yes.
living at her house.
He had just moved back, yeah.
And was Charisse Jackson Jordan in the house?
No.
Okay.
Ashley, again, like I said, is weird. She's weird. And the fact that she thinks this is cute makes it even weirder because it's just like, yuck. You know, I'm going to expound upon my thoughts more when we get into that part of the review in the episode. But yeah, On top of that, Josh, you're stupid because supposedly on this episode, not, I saw the clip because I shouldn't have said supposedly. Ashley says that her and Josh are still like communicating, are still dating. And I'm like, Josh, she broke up with you on national television and told everybody the reason for that was because you're broke. But now she's still messing around with you. And then she's sitting on national television gushing about kissing or making out with her friend's son. Weird. Weird. So the next clip I want to play for you guys of Ashley is her talking about her relationship with Stacey and the way she views Stacey's authenticity.
Number one question for you, Heather Barmore. Why are you so concerned about Stacey's relationship with her husband when you spent years going back and forth with Michael Darby?
I'm not concerned about Stacey's relationship. I am concerned with authenticity and genuineness and the truth. Point blank, period.
Dad Dearest said, why would it be a problem if Stacey dated Chris, but not a problem if you're kissing Charisse Jackson Jordan's son?
I never said it was a problem, but why deny it? Here's the thing. If you're going to skirt around the issue, it looks like you have something to hide.
Okay.
So why not just be honest and say, yeah, we knocked boots and call it a day?
Ashley is delusional if she genuinely thinks that she's been so authentic about her life. And that's also the reason why everyone is slick annoyed with the way in which her and Giselle keep coming at Stacey, because they're both acting like they have this higher moral standing when it's like, you and Giselle lie or omit things. You don't tell us things but y'all have lied several times. So what are we talking about, bro? Like, I don't know why Ashley thinks she's this like trustworthy or truthful person. You've been on the show for 10 years and you have showed us multiple times that you're a snake in the grass. Like, my God. So next, let's talk about the after show, all right? So the first clip I want to play for you guys is this one. It says season 10 after show, Wendy speaks on rekindling her relationship with her father and discuss the conflict with her mom over the relationship. So let's get into that.
Surprised by your dad's interest in this relationship?
I'm not surprised by my dad's interest in having a relationship with me. Hello?
Yes, my daughter.
Oh, hi, Dad.
It's not easy for me not to have seen my daughter this long, and also my grandchildren. So hopefully we'll work out something.
A part of me wants to go through all of the past just so I could heal from it, but it seems like his mechanism for healing is a little bit different. Like even in the conversation when I would mention why I got to this point or how we got to the point, he will say, well, that was then, let's talk about what we can do now to make it better. He didn't want to get into the weeds of how we got here. So last time we talked a little bit about the trip to Nigeria this December. I was really, sad because I didn't get to see you.
No need crying over spilled milk.
I guess I have to meet him halfway. And I think at the core of him and at the core of me, we love each other and we just want to move forward. But it does feel good to have your dad's embrace and love. Love you too, Dad.
Do you think your mom is resentful of your dad?
My mom feels as though my dad is not owed any love because he didn't provide us with love when we were younger. My mom feels as though she did all the heavy lifting. I am who I am today because of my mother, which is true. My dad didn't have a hand in my education. It was my mom who pushed me. My dad didn't have a hand in my career. It was my mom who pushed me. So for my dad to get any benefit from my mother's investment, my mom is like, absolutely not. Yeah. I just want to let you know I called Dad, and I'm really happy I did.
He was just a freaking sperm donor.
My mom has invested time, tears, money, everything into the woman I am, the woman my sister has become, and she does not feel like my dad is owed anything. But in all fairness to my mom, she's never been the type of mother to say, I don't want you to have a relationship with your father. She's never said that. She doesn't even say that now. But I know that my mom was hurt in her relationship with my father, and I want to be loyal to my mom. So even though she doesn't say it, I still have loyalty to my mom, and I don't want her to feel as though me having a relationship with my dad is like a slap in the face to her.
That's a hard.
It's very hard.
That is so difficult, right?
very
That fence
hard.
of balancing.
Of wanting to balance your own desires as a child versus not disrespecting your mother and feeling as though all of her sacrifice was for naught. I never want her to feel that way.
Where do you stand with your dad today?
Oh, we talk. My dad is great. He's been true to his word, and I've been true to mine, so our relationship is progressing. But I have not seen him. I haven't. I don't know if I'll do that, though. Yeah, I haven't seen him yet.
It's sad that you can clearly tell that Wendy is coddling her mom's feelings because it doesn't seem like her mom ever did that for her. And she has buried most of the emotional labor in that relationship with her mom. Like, I'm not saying that Mama Susie don't have a right to be angry, because she does. Like, that man abandoned you for 2 kids and created a whole other family. And for the past like almost 4 or 3 decades, you've been on your own taking care of your children. So her feelings are valid, but the way in which she expresses them are completely and absolutely wrong. Like, the way she spoke to Wendy was just nasty. It was so nasty. And we're going to talk about this in episode 12 as well. But it's sad that you can see that even in the after show, Wendy is still trying to coddle her mom's feelings. And what's interesting is in the after show, they also had a segment where all the ladies were talking about how they parent differently. We find out that Tia was sent to boarding school at the age of like 8 years old, so she wasn't really around her parents that much. Giselle said that her relationship with her mom was strained when she was younger because her mom is a perfectionist, and if she wasn't perfect, it caused issues for them. She was like, she felt like she couldn't really be herself, so she allows her daughters to be themselves. Wendy says the way that she's different from her parents is that she apologizes to her kids and she allows them to have opinions. Stacy said something to the effect of her and her husband sometimes forgets that Arabella is as young as she is because it's just the 3 of them, so they are able to have like adult conversations with her and allow her to be opinionated in ways Stacy says she was not as a child. Jazzy even spoke about how she deals with a bit of resentment with her parents because she was like, her parents were around, but they poured into each other more than they poured into the kids. And she was like, she notices that more so now that she is a stepmom and her bonus kids, and how she wants to show up for them in a way that her parents didn't show up for her. And she also alluded to that relationship with the baby mama actually being in a better place. When we talk about Ashley and Monique, they both said that they were latchkey kids and they actually care about their kids' feelings. And, it sounds like they're low-key kind of sheltering them. but they also talked about giving their children the ability to speak up for themselves. Angel says she comes from a very like strict Christian background. Her parents were missionaries, and she was like that's kind of how she parents her kids, but they also believe in gentle parenting. So that's the way in which they're parenting their children. It was kind of interesting that Kiana didn't say anything because granted she's not married to Greg, but I would think her and Greg have been together for a while, that she would have something to say about how she, steps to the side, or she is more of a big sister to Greg's three other children. Somewhat similar to the way that Jazzy spoke about her relationship with Darius's kids. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that they all spoke about parenting and the different ways that they parent, and that we got a little insight into how some of the ladies were raised. So the last clip I want to play for you guys is about Miss Angel, okay? And it says this. It says, hashtag RHOP season 10 after show. Angel shuts down the eviction rumors. Giselle confesses that in the beginning it was a joke between her and Ashley. So let me pull that up for you guys.
When Giselle, Wendy, and Ashley called me at this event, I really felt like for the first time that I was in this girl group, that I was in this group of women, and they were calling me to actually see if I was okay. And I did not think that they would turn it into, you've been evicted.
From what I understand, Tia has talked to Giselle, and you had to move within days?
We had a short-term lease for this property originally because we thought within a certain period of time we would find a house. They were saying you were evicted, girl.
The eviction of it all, in the beginning, me and Ashley were actually just joking, right? When we said, oh, she was evicted. Like, it's haha. It was a joke.
It was mean.
No, it's not mean. It was a joke.
Okay.
But the fact that she got so angry about it made me feel like, oh, bitch, maybe you did get evicted.
Ain't no questions. I was not evicted, homegirl.
I know that the word eviction rubbed Angel the wrong way, but literally the way that it was conveyed to me, that's what that sounded like. An eviction, okay, so what?
It's just like a repo. It's just like a
repo.
I'm just saying. Why would the first thing you do is to say that I was evicted from a place? Why do you go to the evil right away instead of actually saying, oh, maybe it was just a situation where she had to move? But it wasn't this big deal. And I think that people have to understand that. It was just, like, that wasn't my house. It was an executive rental. The furniture belonged to those people. We literally moved our clothes in, came with the kids with their clothes. But for Ashley to take it to such a dark place, it just lets me know how evil she really is, at least where I'm concerned.
An eviction is when you're getting kicked out because you're behind on the rent.
Okay, so now you're saying I shouldn't use the word?
I've always assumed eviction with lack of payment. So that's probably why she was so offended, because you were basically calling her broke.
I don't know their financial situation. The agreement ran out, and you, ma'am, were not ready to leave. And the owner of the home calls and says, you got to go.
You have to make space for the fact that she responds to things quite emotionally, she feels quite deeply. You're in a new group, she hasn't had the easiest of time with the group, and now it seems like we're coming for her again. So she's not gonna just let it roll off her back because it's one thing or the other. You put yourself in her shoes, how would you feel?
If you told me I got evicted and I didn't, I don't care.
I haven't been evicted. I was able to write the check along with my husband and purchase a home, just like I'll be able to do in Maryland when we find the right one for us. So let's be clear, nobody was evicted.
Girl, that whiplash.
I don't have to wait for a man to create an LLC to buy me a house. I don't have to wait for a settlement to get a house. My shit has been together.
There has been some other talk that you moved purposefully into this area to be in the group.
Okay, well, that's not true at all. And let's be clear. Let me just clear this up for the peanut gallery. I have been in Maryland since before I joined this group. The first time I contacted Key was in November 2023.
Yeah, we talked. And we were looking at homes for realtors.
Yes, to ask her for a good realtor. Since then, me and Bobby have been opening a new business in Maryland, an extension of Wonderland Outdoors in Colorado. And we've been coming back and forth to Maryland looking at homes since 2023. No one moved for this group. I'm not a masochist, first of all. I appreciate being around people who want to be around me. I have enough money and opportunity and success, personal success, as Angel Elliott, even before I was Angel Massie. I don't have to join the group to form an identity.
And this is my issue with Angel. You have good reads on the after show, in your confessional, on threads, in interviews, and on Instagram Live, but yet you don't have that same energy for these women in their face unless it's Wendy. And it's weird because that whole LLC dig at Ashley was a good one. Like, my husband didn't have to put me in an LLC to get a house. That was good. That's a direct hit at Ashley, and it's factual. So it's a good read. But yet we have not seen Angel really read anybody, and it's annoying. It really is. Her saying that like she was somebody before Bobby, we can't tell because all you do is talk about being a part of an NFL family and being a wag. You're the one that has made that your identity. Like the fact that you're an opera singer and you actually sing very well, and we have yet to hear you talk about that or that being a hobby, it's kind of crazy, Angel. You're the one selling yourself short to the audience. And that's on you because you think being a wag and a part of the NFL world makes you more than what you are. But it actually should only be like a small piece of your identity. Giselle and Ashley definitely did not mean that as a joke. They didn't mean that as a joke. It's no secret that Giselle and Ashley both felt like the newbies weren't pulling their weight. So they were gonna make this a problem or a point of a storyline because they didn't feel like Angel and Tia were pulling their weight. That's just what it is. And mentioning Tia, it's starting to look like Tia is probably, if she stays on this show long enough, will probably start pulling away from Giselle, or her and Giselle will have issues, because this is like the second time we've seen Tia on the after show push back at Giselle, and Giselle be like, no girl, I still feel the way I feel. And Tia always has this look of like, Giselle, like, you don't think what you said was disrespectful or shady? And Giselle's like, no, and I don't care. And I don't think Tia is used to that. I think Tia thinks Giselle is messy, but I think she's starting to realize, like, oh, she messy, and I might not know how to deal with that going forward. That's what is given to me. But let's get into this review, because this spicy corner was a lot longer than I expected. All right, y'all. So let's get into this episode. So it opens up, and we're at Tia's house. We see that she has a bunch of food that she's packing into a sprinter. There was a guy there, and at first I thought it was her husband, but then I was like, he looks a little bit older, as well as he's darker than her husband. Come to find out, it's her older brother by the name, I think it's Dejin or something like that. But Tia basically drops to us that her daddy had outside children, because she is like, in her family, I think it's her older brother, then her, and then she has a younger brother. And then she says she also has a brother and a sister, but she's a lot younger. The sister and the brother are a lot younger than her. And she was like, those are my dad's kids. It sounds like your daddy had outside kids, and that's what it was. I say, maybe that's why your mama broke up with him and got a divorce. But pretty much, her brother's in town, and they're going to a polo match. We find out that Sotheby's actually sponsors an all-female polo team. So she's excited that her brother's in town, and she invited all of the ladies except for Stacy. So we see the women get to her house. I would say out of all the outfits, I liked Jazzy's the most. Hers looked like it went with what you would wear to a polo match. And also I loved her hat. So I was like, I would wear her outfit. So everybody gets on the sprinter, and pretty much I think it was Ashley who was like, somebody is missing, like, what's going on? And so then Tia was like, well, girl, she kicked me out of her event, so I disinvited Stacy because this is my job and I want to put on a good face and I don't want no problems. So she was like, I kicked her out. And then she talks about how, Tia says, you guys told me that Stacy likes to like lie and create these webs of lies and things of that nature. And now here I am caught in the web. So then Jazzy peeks up and she's like, I need proof that my girl's a liar. So then Ashley takes this opportunity to tell Jazzy, well, girl, she decided really late to come to your wedding, and it was only because me and Wendy decided to come to your wedding. And so Jazzy was like, she told y'all that? Because I didn't hear that. And she told me she had to move things around in order to come to my wedding. And Ashley's just like, girl, I'm just telling you what it is. I mean, honestly, it's clear, because when they flash back to when the ladies were in Nevis, the way that Stacy was like, we're good. Like me and her are good, and we're still trying to figure things out, but I'm definitely gonna be at the wedding. It gave that Stacy only came to the wedding, or only was interested in the wedding because, one, it was going to be filmed, and two, Jazzy was still going to be a part of this group. I think if Jazzy was not a part of this group, she would not entertain going to the wedding. Now, I do think it was kind of weird that Jazzy wanted Stacy to be in her wedding, but I also feel like Jazzy was putting Stacy in her wedding in order for her wedding to be filmed. Either way, they were both trying to get each other to be a part of the show in order for it to be filmed. But yeah, it does give that Stacy only was going to the wedding because it was going to be filmed. Because Stacy, Ashley, and Wendy went, So they get to the event where they're having the polo match. And you hear Giselle say, I'm just here for champagne and food. Like, I don't really care about this. And then they all make remarks how they were like, these people have never seen black people before. Because if you look at Tia's, I guess you would say, colleagues, it was predominantly white. I think they were the only black people there. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Because, I was like, they didn't have no other sprinkles of any other races and ethnicities. I said, what's going on here? Because you hear Wendy say, Tia, oh my gosh, we brought the color. So then in the confessional, this made me laugh. Wendy said, I'm going to enjoy this event because this is where Ashley's going to meet her husband. Yes, because Ashley likes white men. And it's crazy that Ashley had the nerve this episode to question anybody's blackness when you're raising your two kids as they are white. Like, you told Stacey last season that your kids see themselves as white. So, and then the fact that you didn't even know there was a black national anthem. My God, on today, Ashley. And then to question Stacey's blackness, is she gonna put, raisins or grapes in the mashed potatoes or the whatever? I don't know what I was like, girl, the nerve of you. So they decide to sing the Black National Anthem. Honestly, Tia should have just had Angel sing it, because she ends up saying, we have Angel here, who's a opera trained singer, and they show us like a video of her singing. If you're interested in seeing her sing a little bit more, in the after show on YouTube, they opened up the after show, the latest episode from last week, with Angel singing, and she has a lovely voice. And I'm like, Angel, more of that and less of you being a wag and being a Debbie Downer, because her voice is actually really pretty. And I'm just like, Tia, I wouldn't give a damn about Ashley's feelings. Like, if I'm trying to make a good impression on like my colleagues, I would have the friend that I know could sing, because Angel does have a nice voice. Because they flash back to when they were at Angel's house dogging out Stacey after, the Reasonably Shady event. And Tia ends up saying, it would be nice if one of you guys would like to sing the national anthem. And she's like, Angel, I want to know if you'd be willing to do it. And then Ashley was like, and you didn't think of me? You didn't consider me? No, because you sound like nails on a chalkboard. Like, you don't sound good, Ashley. And I first thought Ashley, I feel like Ashley is trolling us. I do. I really do. Because I brought this up before about how she did not sing for the Bravo show, like, Christmas special. So I have to believe she is trolling us. Because, girl, you can't sing. You can't sing, Ashley. Pretty much, they sing the Black National Anthem. I will say it was kind of like, kind of cringy watching them sing the Black National Anthem to a group of white people. Like, I was like, girl, this kind of feels like a spectacle. I don't like it. But hey, they did all right. So then they play, we actually see them start the polo match. And it's time for them to take a break. So then we see one of Tia's co-workers come over to her, and he's like, hey, would you want to come and stomp the divots? And she's like, okay. The only person that seems to be like, is Wendy. And Wendy is just like, it's poop out there. Like, and Ashley's like, girl, come on. So if you don't know what Stomp the Divots is, it's pretty much with the horses going up and down the field, their hooves dig into the field. And sometimes it's like clumps of dirt, or they make like dips in the dirt. So the spectators of the sports will come out and smooth out the divots or stomp the divots. And this, to me, the way Wendy was acting was showing the difference between wealth and just like someone that just came into money. Because Wendy is like, I have on an all white outfit. Like, this is a luxury. I'm giving luxury. And I'm like, what they're doing is actually a luxury, girl. Like, I can guarantee you most of the people out there probably had on shoes equivalent to your outfit, maybe even more. But because, they money probably is real, they like, that is a sign of wealth. Like, that is a sign of like, girl, this doesn't mean anything to me. I could have on vintage shoes or a vintage brand on here. I could have on my red bottoms or my Chanel's or my Gucci or whatever. And I'm going to go out here and stomp the divots in my outfit and be cute about it. Like, and Wendy being like, girl, and I'm like, Wendy, act like you been somewhere. You don't even have to smush your feet into it. We know you don't give them shoes back, girl. Tap it. And even if we didn't know what we know now about like the court case and, Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy, I still would look at Wendy like, girl, act like you been somewhere. Please, okay? So they do all of that. We did see a conversation take place between Jazzy and Ashley, where pretty much Jazzy is still like thinking about what Ashley said about Stacey only attending her wedding because of the show and because of Wendy and Ashley going to the wedding. And she's like, I want to talk to you. So Jazzy and Ashley have a conversation. And what it boils down to is Ashley is trying to sow like division in between Stacey and Jazzy, because Jazzy is just like, that really took me back that you said that. So then Ashley ends up saying, well, I just don't know how invested she is in your relationship. So in the confessional, Jazzy is confused. She's like, I would hate to think that Stacey would be going around telling people that, she didn't want to attend my wedding unless they came, as well as I thought me and Stacey had a real friendship. And the thing about it is, even though I do believe that Jazzy probably invited Stacey in order for her wedding to be on the show, like especially putting her in her bridal party, I do think Jazzy did consider Stacey a friend, because right now I don't think they're cool. Because if you go back to the Reasonably Shady event, the way that Jazzy slid in between Stacey and Kiarna when they were arguing, and Jazzy was like, stop calling her, like she said something to like, stop calling her a hoe or ain't gonna be none of that. And the way she got she got aggressive. I said, oh, Jazzy. Like Jazzy was willing to stand and fight with Stacey. Like, so I do think she genuinely considers Stacey her friend at this point in the show. So I think it would really hurt her. And I'm trying to also think about it, like, if I was getting married, I would probably be very intentional about who I put on my guest list. But also I'm looking at Jazzy like, is the friendship that real when you've only known her for a year? Like, yes, my feelings would be slightly hurt, but like I wouldn't care because I don't know Stacey like that, But I do feel like Ashley is just trying to sow division, because Ashley was like, there's glimpses of Stacey that I like, but then she does things that they're just so off, And she was like, I just hope she doesn't violate your trust. Ashley's sowing seeds of doubt in Jazzy's mind. So we then see the lady sitting down, and, Tia is thanking them all for coming to the Polo event. She's like, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all. I love y'all, blah, blah, blah. So then Ashley ends up saying, like, this is how I feel like the group should be. I feel like we're in a good place, because at one point I thought the group was fractured. So then she turns her attention to Angel, and she's like, Angel, something that you had mentioned to us, saying you really were making an effort to include, you want us to really make an effort to include you into the group. So it flashes back to Giselle's Reasonably Shady event, and you see Ashley and Angel having a conversation where Angel says, I think that not knowing me and me not knowing you ladies, the olive branch, just a simple text would have been nice from you guys. It would have made me feel a little more included. And, Ashley ends up saying to her, like, girl, it kind of works both ways. Like you have to, and I'm mad and I'm agreeing with Ashley, because I'm like, yeah, if you want to feel included, you also have to put out there that you want to feel included. And so Ashley says, I feel like this would have been a great opportunity, I think, maybe for you to spend a little more time with the other ladies, because if you watch the scene play out, Angel is always with Kiarna. Like, we've only seen Angel without Kiarna one time, is that's when they were at that off-brand Kohl's before they went to Preakness. And like, other than that, we haven't seen Angel do one-on-ones with anybody else other than Kiarna or hang out with her. And so I get what Ashley is saying, like, girl, you have to also make the effort to get to know these women too. So then Tia ends up asking her, do you think she did that today, like talking to other women? And she's like, no. So then Angel says, okay, well, I hear what you're saying, but that's definitely going to happen. So in the confessional, Angel's like, this one-sided interaction that these ladies want to have with me, where I have my hat out saying, please talk to me, that's not me. It's like, it's just going to take time. And she was like, we were having a good time, and she made it, meaning Ashley, made it a sour time. So she was like, I'm excited to spend Angel goes on to say, I'm excited to spend one-on-one time with you guys. Even Miss Wendy, we're all gonna be all right. And so then Jazzy said, you gonna be all right, Wendy? Y'all gonna be all right? And Wendy's eating her food like, yeah, whatever. Because I think Wendy in her mind has now written Angel off, so she doesn't really care to get to know her. Kiarna just sitting there, like, not interjecting, not trying to help her friend. And the thing about it with Angel is, I do think Angel is so used to people doing that for her. And what I mean by that is, like we talked about it, Angel is a wag. So she's a wife. She's at the top of the totem pole. Then it goes girlfriends. Then it's everybody else. And normally with her and Bobby moving and she becoming a part of a new team and a new, like, wag circle, the wives have probably all wanted to get to know her because she was a wife and reached out to her and things like that. But then also the other women, like the girlfriends and the other wives, probably were clamoring to get to know her. So she's not used to having to actually put in effort, in my opinion, because it does work both ways. If you want everyone to, like, include you and make you a part of things, you have to do the same thing. You know what I mean? So that scene ends, and the next thing you know, it says 18 hours later, and we have this scene at Bobby and Angel's house. there's a bunch of boxes everywhere, and Bobby saying this sucks, and Angel's telling him it's okay for you to be upset. We moved out here unexpectedly, and now we're going back home to Colorado, and it is annoying. Like, it's okay for you to be frustrated. And Bobby's like, yeah, I am a little frustrated, but I would like to poop in my own toilet. So it seemed like Bobby is tired of Potomac. So then in the confessional, Angel pretty much says, long short story, is that the rental that they're in, there seems to be a miscommunication between her and the homeowners, and pretty much they have to be out at a certain time. But the text message that she showed as evidence of there being a miscommunication is not what that gave. It gave very much, girl, you signed a 6-month or maybe 7 or 8 month lease, and it's up, and you did not extend your lease. Because this is what it says. Hi, Angel. We hope you are having a great stay. I am sending this a little in advance, but here is our checkout information for VP for you to check out at 12 p.m. on the 1st. We have loved having you. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out with anything you need. So to me, that sounds like, girl, you knew what it was, you just didn't extend, which is your right to extend. But I feel like the issue that I have with Angel is she gets so flustered that she does not come up with good stories. I feel like she's trying hard not to break the fourth wall, but honestly, all she needed to say is, look, we got this short-term rental. I thought within this time frame, me and Bobby would have procured a house, especially one that we liked and we loved for our family to live and grow in Maryland. Unfortunately, that's been a lot harder than we expected, and I missed the cutoff time to extend the lease. So now we're packing up, we're going back to Colorado, we're going to regroup there, and then make our way back to Maryland, because we're definitely coming back. And that would dead the entire issue. Even though Angel gets on my nerves, I will not sit here and say that I believe that she's fallen on hard times, or that Bobby's money is funny, or her money is funny. But I do feel like Angel is not very reactionary, in the sense of like, girl, you never seem to be quick on the uptake. It always takes you a minute, or you get extremely flustered, or it takes you like a day or two to respond to people disrespecting you. And then you have so much to say in your confessionals or online. And it's like, girl, say it in the moment. Or I just need you to get a little more savvy in your responses. Because this makes what Giselle and Ashley are saying about you getting evicted, it doesn't make it true, but it does leave a shrivel of doubt, because you seem like you're not sure about the story you telling us. So Kiana just walks up in their house with a bottle of wine. Bobby is annoyed, saying, so I guess we don't knock around here. And I was with him, because, girl, don't just walk up in my house. Y'all may have known each other for 20 years, but y'all not that close. Y'all are not that close. So I'd have been like, girl, you don't know what we doing in this house. So Kiana notices the boxes, and she's like, what's going on? And Angel says, girl, we going back to Colorado. And Kiana is gagged. She's like, you just got here. Like, what are you talking about? And Angel's like, no, I mean, we're getting on a plane and we're heading back to Colorado. And she's like, you just got here. You can't leave me. What happened? So she's in the confessional, shocked, like confused. And then Bobby comes into the kitchen, and Kiana asks Bobby, like, what's going on? And Bobby's like, it's cool, we gonna come back. So then there's a knock at the door, and it's Tia. So Angel goes and gets Tia, and she brings I think like sweet treats. And Kiana's like, girl, whatever you have in that box and this wine is gonna have to calm my nerves, because I'm a little frustrated and upset right now. And Tia's like, what's wrong? Like, what's up? And so that's when Angel lets it be known. Long short story, our house is double booked, and I got a message from the homeowner that basically we have to be out by the 1st. And Tia is just as gagged and stuck like Kiana, and she's like, girl, what's going on? So she's in the confessional saying, this is alarming. Are they getting kicked out? Did the homeowner break the lease? Like, what's happening? She then ends up asking Angel, is this an Airbnb? And Angel's like, no, it's a short-term rental. So then Tia's like, so are you guys moving all of your furniture into storage? Like, what are y'all doing? And Angel's like, no, this house came completely furnished. So the only thing that they're packing up is like clothes and like the kids' toys and other things that they have acquired over the 6 months that they have been there. So not that much needs to be packed up. At least I would expect not that much need to be packed up. So they're like, okay. So then Tia, I think, ends up asking Angel, what about your realtor, like, what's happening with that? And so Angel's like, I love Jessica, but if you want to help us double team this situation. Tia's like, yeah, Jessica seemed cool, but she ain't no Tia. I work for Sotheby's, girl, I got you. So then Bobby was like, She worked for Sotheby's, and all we've been doing is looking at stuff on Zillow. Girl, where was this at? So Angel ends up getting Tia and Kiana to help her start packing. It was funny because the kids don't understand why they're putting their stuff in boxes. And the youngest child, the little girl, I think her name's like, is it Gia? Or Gianna, I'm probably saying her name wrong. She's digging stuff out of the box because she's like, what are y'all doing with my stuff? But they end up leaving Angel's house. Angel ends up saying, well, she's not too worried about this situation because they're an NFL family. They're used to moving and they're going to continue their search to find a home in Maryland. We then see Tia in the car and she gets a phone call from Giselle. Giselle is inviting her to that whole like hoedown situation that they having at the end of the episode, okay? Basically, a 5-year-old's birthday party, because that's what it gave, a 5-year-old's birthday party. So Tia's like, okay, that's great. I know Alexis will probably like to come because she's just getting out of being grounded. And Giselle's like, oh no, like what happened? And they show us a flashback. Alexis has had an attitude for a couple of days, I guess, and it's been working on Tia's nerves. We see this scene of her saying like, everybody here is dumb, or calling people dumb, and you hear her sister saying you can't keep calling people dumb, and then you hear Tia say, what did I tell you about calling people dumb? Like, I've asked you to stop doing that. Then there was like she copped a really quick attitude when Tia was like, can I use your lip gloss? And she was like, can't you buy your own? And I said, oh girl, I was like, did she buy the lip gloss, or is that your lip gloss and you purchased it? Either way, why is there so much bass in your voice, bro? Like, why is there so much? So Tia says since she's been grounded and they took her phone away, her attitude has changed. And I'm like, you need to check that phone. You need to see who she was talking to, what kind of media she's consuming. Like, is she getting bullied? Like, you really never know. Because like the elders say, it was them phones. These phones did a number on a lot of people. So I'm like, I think it's great that her attitude has changed, but you do need to like inspect that phone to make sure ain't nothing crazy happening, okay? So while they're in the car, Tia ends up saying, honestly, I'm leaving Angel's house. You might want to check up on her. She's literally moving out of her house like somebody is renting out the place after them and they're going back to Colorado. So Giselle was like, so they just came here for the show? And Tia's like, no, Bobby is from Virginia and she's from Maryland. Like, they came here for their family. So then in the confessional, Tia's like, oh, I wish I would have never told Giselle. Like, I wish I would never did that. And I'm looking at Tia, like I said, in the spicy corner. Either one, Tia knows that Giselle is messy, but she's starting to be like, dang, like you really, really messy. Like you OG messy. Or she wants to be the good cop to Giselle's bad cop. Or Tia is starting to get annoyed with Giselle. Either way, I feel like Tia knows what she's doing. She knows how messy Giselle is, and she knows that Giselle hasn't really been that kind towards Angel. So telling her this information was definitely going to get like misconstrued because Giselle, that's what Giselle does. She twists and turns stories. And you know that, Tia, because I know you watched this show. So I'm just like, what did you expect? So Giselle's in her confessional basically saying that Angel only booked the home so that they could film the show, and she did not realize how long it would take for us to film the show. I don't care. There's so many women on reality shows that I watch that we know that they don't live in the state. When Kenya first started on Real Housewives of Atlanta, she lived in LA. She had to find her a house here, and she built that house on purpose because she wanted a house that mimicked LA because she didn't like any of the southern homes down in Atlanta. Heather Dubrow lives in Beverly Hills and films in OC. Jessel, for the rebooted season of Real Housewives of New York, was living in Dallas and she moved. So, like, I don't give a damn. I don't know why Giselle thinks that this is a point that people would care about. I don't get why you care about it. I don't get it. I really don't. So that scene ends, and then we get this scene of Wendy, Eddie, and Cameron. Cameron is hilarious to me. She's funny. Like, she got an attitude, like she got spunk to her. And I enjoy that in little kids, okay? So they're taking her to this gymnastics class. While they're there, Wendy is telling Eddie, I need you to be prepared for Saturday because we're doing this Ponies and Potomac thing. Me and Giselle are doing this event together. So then she starts talking about her father. Eddie gives her good advice about how he's like, don't have any expectations for your family members. He talks about his family and how once he let go of having expectations on his two sisters, he pretty much was like, it was easy for him to create a relationship with them. He also talked about how we check in with each other every month since that situation. He's like, by no means are we best friends, but we're in a good place. So Wendy's like, when she talks to her father, she wants to go into that conversation not having expectations, because she does really want a relationship with him. Have is of Stacey and Kiarna finally having a one-on-one sit down. They meet up at this restaurant. Stacey tickled me because in the confessional she says, like Michelle Obama would say, when they go low, we go high. So I'm gonna pop this gummy and go meet K high. I cackled. I said, Stacey, what? And so they sit down. They both look really pretty, by the way. So they're sitting down and Stacey is like, would you like to share any appetizers? I was looking at the burrata. And Kiarna ends up saying that pretty much in her confessional that Stacey reached out to her to have this sit down and she agreed because she was like, it's getting ugly. But I'm like, you're the reason why it's getting ugly, because you seem to have this switch when it comes to Stacey. Like, even when you were arguing with Wendy, Kiarna, the energy is not the same. It feels as though when Kiarna gets into it with Wendy, it's very like, she can keep it like even keel to a certain extent. Like, even when they were like going at it, like when Wendy and Kiarna met up by the bay, down at the National Harbor, she wasn't like, she didn't get rowdy. It wasn't that bad. But with Stacey, it seems like Kiarna gets very like rah, and it causes issues. So, like I said, Stacey was like, do you want to order any appetizers? Kiarna's like, no, I don't like cheese. And she's like, okay, cool. She ends up saying something like, anything without cheese. So while they're sitting there, Stacey's like, I appreciate you like meeting up with me. Then next thing you know, the waitress comes by and Stacey orders the burrata. Kiarna has like a stank look on her face, like, didn't I just tell you I don't eat cheese? And so in the confessional, Kiarna's like, I just told this girl I don't eat cheese. And I'm like, well, is it you don't eat cheese? Are you severely allergic to cheese? Because either way, girl, I think she was ordering the burrata for herself. Like, you don't got to eat the burrata. But I do know there are some food allergies that are that sensitive to where if you smell the food, you can start getting the symptoms of being like an allergic reaction, like getting hives, your throat getting very itchy. But if you're allergic to this stuff and it's that severe, where's your EpiPen? And I'm saying this as someone who had to carry around an EpiPen, and I wasn't even allergic to any food. It was just like when I was in college, when I was doing field work, there was certain grass out in the field that would make me break out severely. So I'm just kind of like, girl, where the EpiPen at? You got it? like And so Kiarna ends up telling the lady, well, I want to order this salad, but I'm allergic to cheese. Can you make sure there's no cheese in it? So then Stacey says, can you believe that we have known each other that long? Don't you think it's kind of sad that I don't know that you are allergic to cheese? And Kiarna's like, no, I don't, because we're not in a good place. So they start talking about Lake Norman. And Kiarna's like, Lake Norman, we really got to know each other because we shared a room together. And she was like, I thought we were good, but then when we meet up at Ashley's event, you were so nasty to me. And they flash back to Ashley's event, and it was the part where Kay puts her hand in Stacey's face and she's like, hello, because Stacey didn't say like hello directly to her. She just said hello to everyone. And I was like, what were you expecting from her? Because then as the scene continues on, they also show when Kiarna and Stacey are arguing, when the women are all sitting down, and Stacey's like, you just want to fight every time we're around each other. And Kiarna says to Stacey, if I want to fight you, you know I can fight, Stacey. And Stacey says, I know you can fight. I know how you get down. I've seen it. I seen it. And so Stacey tells Kiarna, well, why would you think I would greet you with like some type of kindness or being so giddy to meet you when the last time we met before Ashley's party, you were calling me a phony and a fraud? So it flashes back to when Kiarna was like, you were trying to squeeze a tear out that beady little eye when they were talking about the reunion. So she was like, you're always screaming at me. Like, you always have this energy with me where you kind of just go like 0 to 100 and you always got your hands doing this with me. So Kiarna was like, well, you like to weaponize my altercation against me. And Stacey's like, I never called you violent, but I have said things because you have taken it there with me, where you always have this energy like you ready to get at me. And so Kiana was like, when we were at Stacey brings up, when we were at Giselle's event, you had your hands in my face. You were doing all of this and all of that and all of that. And Kiana's like, no, I wasn't. But when they flash back, your hands are like this, Kiana, and you were doing all of this. Your hands were in that lady's face, and it did give energy that you were willing to fight if need be. So you can't be upset that she is making mention of you being aggressive when that's all you giving her is aggressive energy. Like, and I know as Black women, we don't like that label put onto us, because as oftentimes when it is slapped onto us, we haven't shown that behavior. But for Kiana has shown a lot of aggression when it comes to Stacey. And we just gonna have to call it a thing, okay? And so Stacey says, I've never once called you violent. But Stacey, you have made mention to her being assaulted and being violent. So you don't have to say she violent to say that, like, she violent. Like you have said, girl, I don't want to get chin checked. You've also been like, girl, I'm uncomfortable around her. So it does give the perception that you do think she's a violent person. So they're sitting there, and then Stacey ends up saying, well, you also brought up the whole thing about me and Chris. Like, I didn't even see the text message you're talking about. Me and Chris have never dated. So then in the confessional, Kiana is like, Stacey doesn't want to be honest, but there's images out there of her and Chris. Mind you, the image that they're showing is from the Bravo Shade Room, and they weren't at that restaurant by themselves. They were actually there with other people. And I just watched the Carlos King interview that Stacey did, which was actually good, by the way. So go check it out. And Stacey says in that interview, there were like 20 other people there, and we were at the corner of the table. Even if there weren't 20 other people there and Stacey is lying, there's another picture, and AJ was there, and so was another guy that's Chris's friend. So it wasn't an actual date. It just seemed like a group of friends hanging out. And even if they were dating, who cares? Who cares? Like, Monique and Chris ain't together, divorced, Stacey divorced. They didn't do nothing wrong. So as they're sitting there, Stacey basically says, we have way more in common than not. I just launched a wellness brand. You have a wellness brand. I just got back together with my ex-husband. You're back together with Greg. Like, we're good. Like, I just feel like we could be cool to a certain extent is what Stacey is trying to say. And then Kiana just ends up saying, like, I just feel as though, like, I'm a direct person, I'm a passionate person, and I'm very forthcoming about things. And I just feel like what you're saying that I'm doing, I'm not doing. So Stacey basically tells Kiana, if we can leave it here, I'm cool. As long as if you hear anything about me, you come to me or you give me the benefit of the doubt and we move forward. And Kay says, you know what? I'll give you that. So they leave it there. They say they good and they gonna move on. So the next thing we have is of Wendy, Giselle, and Ashley meeting up at this restaurant. And honestly, I cannot take Ashley anymore. I'm so ready for her to get kicked off the show. So they're sitting there, and we know that the hoedown that's happening at the end of the episode is being hosted by by Giselle and Wendy. So Wendy wants it to be a potluck. So she's bringing fried chicken, and Stacey says she wants to do the potato salad. Mind you, Stacey and Wendy have like a wishy-washy relationship. I do think it's kind of weird that Stacey only brought Tia to meet Timu first, and then she tried to make up for it by bringing Timu to the hoedown. And then you have Wendy talking to Giselle and Ashley about Stacey wanting to bring potato salad, knowing that they don't like her. So I was just like, both of y'all, but it seems like they got it together by the end of the season. So Ashley makes a comment where she says she doesn't, like, she was like, no, like, she's going to put raisins and grapes in the potato salad. And I said, Ashley, so both Giselle and Ashley are like, they don't want to try it. It's the nerve of Ashley to think that she can critique somebody's blackness, a monoracially black woman, and you're biracial. Again, the same woman who is raising her 2 children as white kids. Like, they are more white than they are black. You said you could bond with Stacey because Stacey's daughter was not around a lot of black people when we first met Stacey. And you have the nerve to be like, is she going to put grapes and raisins in the potato salad? Girl, that would be a question we ask you. I would think you would do something like that. And then that tired ass catfish you brought, girl, that looked nasty. I would have tried Stacey's potato salad before I tried Ashley's catfish, and I love catfish. Okay, like I love me some catfish whiting. Tear it up. I will tear it up. So I'm just like, girl. So we also see that Angel is inviting everybody to Colorado, and pretty much, Angel says that she wants the women to get to know her in her happy place. And I said, you sure you want to bring them to Colorado? So then that's when Giselle tells them that Tia told her that Angel and Bobby got evicted or kicked out of their house. And both Ashley and Wendy are like, what? And she's like, yeah. So then Wendy says she has a realtor friend that told her that somebody came up to her saying that they wanted a house that looked like it was worth $15,000 in rent, but they only wanted to pay $2,000 to $3,000 in rent. And they're like, oh my gosh. I didn't really care. And then Wendy says in her confessional, I'm not invested in Angel's like living accommodations. Get your discount, girl. But I am invested in how she treats us as friends. Or is she invested us as friends? Girl, you don't even want to be friends with Angel. So what are you talking about, Wendy? Like, girl, I guess a lie don't care who tell it because you don't want to be friends with that lady. So it's time for the pony showdown, whatever they calling this thing. And they should have just had this in somebody's backyard because the decor wasn't decoring, and I feel as though that same decor would have looked better in a backyard. This just gave a busted 5-year-old's birthday party because I said, what is this? And I'm not opposed to a potluck. I like me a good potluck, like a nice Friendsgiving type of vibe. But girl, this is Potomac. Like if we're gonna have these type of events, I'm expecting more. Like I would have been cool if they would have got it catered from like different people in the city, something. But this gave real like average, real regular, you know? So, I think it was Giselle got there first with 2 of her kids. Then we end up seeing Wendy get there. I think Wendy looked the best out of everyone. I liked her chaps. I thought they were cute. Then Ashley gets there with her booty cheeks out. Because I said, why can I see your cheeks? I don't like that, Ashley. And then she brings catfish, basically saying that, like, this is for Angel. I hope she knows I did this for her. Ashley's annoying. And if somebody, the way that everyone used to say that Candace, you know, she deserved to, Candace's mouth was set up is the reason why she got hit. When you talk shit, you get hit. Ashley has been talking shit since season 1, and I've yet to see somebody clock her in her face. So that argument never like worked for me. And it's like Ashley always intentionally does things to hurt people. We never really saw Candace do anything like that. But Ashley is always trying to purposely do things and get under people's skin. I don't even see it for Angel like that. But okay, girl, you brought that dry catfish because it looked nasty. It looked like you burnt it. Like it didn't look good. And it's for Angel, and the only reason why I feel like Ashley is coming at Angel is because Angel is an easier target than Stacey. Everybody thought Stacey was going to be easy, but the problem is Stacey is media trained and she not gonna let y'all punk her. She not afraid of y'all. The lady from Detroit. Y'all really don't know her upbringing. Stacey might have had to fight all her life. We don't know. But I'm just saying, the way that Kenya mouth is set up, and she from Detroit, I said you might, and Toya from Married to Medicine's mouth is set up. She also from Detroit. I would tread lightly on the Detroit ladies because they mouths, they be rooted. So I feel like Ashley is only going after Angel, just like Giselle is going after Angel now, and is going to ramp it up because Angel is an easy target because Angel get too flustered. And then she waits too long for her reads. And then it's like by the time she wants to get slick and say something nasty to somebody or bite back at them, it's been 2 days and we don't care about this no more. We moving at a rapid pace. I'm gonna need you to keep up, Angel. So they filmed this scene of Timu getting there out of sequence because when everyone's standing around, you see Sharice, we see Greg, Kiarna, and you see Stacey there. Then the next scene we see is of Kiarna, what's it called? on the speakerphone calling Angel and Bobby to see what's their ETA. And she's like, Angel picks up and she's like, oh, we're on our way. It's been a lot. We're pretty far. And then they were like, but what time do you think you're going to be here? And Bobby's like, man, we'll get there when we get there. He just sounds annoyed and frustrated. But everyone tried to act like it was such a big deal, specifically Giselle and what's her name? And Ashley, to me. Wendy made a comment where she was like, well, that wasn't very like family friendly. And Tia speaks up and she's like, well, we can give her some grace. Like, she been packing up. And Wendy's like, girl, we've all had a stressful week and we showed up here on time, so she could too. Giselle's in the confessional saying she's 2 hours late. The least thing she could do is be apologetic about it. But since you're late, turn around and go home. But I forgot you don't have a home. So just being nasty and disrespectful like Giselle always does. And the crazy thing about it is Kiarna was mute. That's the weird thing to me about Kiarna and Angel's relationship. Y'all been friends for 20 years like y'all keep saying, but yet Kiarna does not act like you're her best friend. Because I can tell you this, if I've known someone for 20 years, especially with the best friends that I have now, you can't say nothing in front of me that's disrespectful towards them, and I'm not going to say nothing to you. I don't play about mines. Like, I will check you. Even if I'm uncomfortable or scared to say something, you're not going to disrespect my friends. And I don't know why Kiarna just didn't speak up and be like, it wasn't doing what Tia was doing. Like, hey, y'all know she moving. Give her a minute. It's been stressful. We've all had a rough week. Like, y'all give her a chance. And she's always just quiet. Or she waits to say what she needs to say in the confessional. That's your friend, Angel. So we then see Timu and Stacy and Arabella get there. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, she brought him. And Stacy says she only brought Timu so he could meet Wendy and Eddie. And that's it. That's honestly why he here. And so he meets Wendy and Eddie. And then he ends up leaving like 30 minutes into the party. Because he like, girl, I know. Well, honestly, he was actually there for 2 hours. Because like I said, they filmed that scene out of sequence because you see Stacy in the group, and then next episode they're going to be complaining about him leaving and he was only there for 30 minutes, but he was actually there for 2 hours and nothing happened. So he was there enough. So we see him meet everybody. Giselle is the first one that wants to talk to him. Then we actually see Ashley meet Timu. She's in the confessional saying, I'm actually surprised that he's real. I wanted to pinch him. Wendy ends up saying, I'm glad that Stacy brought him because he's been a topic of conversation. And she's like, they look nice together. And he seems receptive to being around everybody, but he just don't want to get in the mix because... And I bypassed what Ashley said. Ashley tried to make it seem after Bobby said, we'll get there when we get there. She was like, oh, that Bobby has a temper on him in the confessional. He didn't sound like he had a temper. He sounded like he was frustrated and tired or just irritated. And why did you equate that to a temper? Miss, I just recently found my blackness and I'm trying to be down for my people, but you didn't know there was a black national anthem. You're questioning a monoracially black woman's blackness by saying she gonna put raisins and grapes in the potato salad, and now you're trying to label a black man as potentially having a temper when all he says was, we get there when we get there. Shut up, Ashley. Disrespectfully. Okay? So... we see Bobby and Angel get there. When they get there, we actually see Wendy and Giselle on the mic, and they're basically announcing who made what for the event. And Wendy gets to Ashley, and Ashley made the catfish. So Wendy's like, and Ashley made the catfish. And Angel realizes that it's about her, and she says in the confessional, Ashley can shove that catfish up her butt. Then she shades the party like this is some low budget type crap, and you coming at me like this, and I'm like, Angel, say something. Like that. Like I just say, like, why are you scared to say something in the moment? So then they sit down at the table and they're all trying to check in with Angel. Angel has her daughter. A lot of people were upset with the way that the ladies came at her because her daughter was sitting there. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It could be because I don't have children, but in my mind, girl, you're at work. Give that little girl to her daddy and get to going. This is what you signed up for. Be prepared. Everybody else's kids were running around. Also, Kim, let it be known, girl, she got 4 phones. What do a 6-year-old need with 4 phones? Why does she have 4 phones? Oh, Wendy and Eddie. Oh my God. But they sit down. The little girl is sitting with them, and they're asking her, like, girl, we heard that you moving. And Angel is like, we're an NFL family. We're used to moving. She was like, we had a short-term lease property, and she was like, things just happen. So then Stacey ends up asking, so are y'all like leaving here? Are you moving back to Colorado like officially? She's like, yeah, we're coming back. We're going to be going back and forth. So then I think Tia ends up saying, was the original date July the 12th or was it July the 1st? Then Angel ends up saying, well, actually, I don't really know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm like, see, Angel, this is why they think you getting evicted, is because why don't you know what time? So then I didn't like the fact that Ashley tried to question her motherhood, when she was like, well, to me, like, you care a lot about like being a parent, and I don't think that you wouldn't know what's going on. Like, you being the mom that you are, that's kind of crazy to me. I don't think you would do something like that. So then Wendy jumps in and she's like, girl, the people saying you getting evicted. And everyone's just like, Wendy. And she's like, let's stop beating around the bush. They're trying to say that you getting evicted. What's going on with you? And that's where the scene ends. All right, y'all. So episode 12, I think we just gonna blitz our way through it because not much really happened. So the episode starts off where it left off, where the ladies are still questioning Angel about her living accommodations. Wendy has just said, girl, the streets is saying you got evicted. What's up? And Angel basically says that she goofed on the date. I'm guessing she thought that she had till July the 12th and that she had secured the place till July the 12th, but she only secured the place till July the 1st. And she was like, that's why she was upset, because had she known that she needed to be out by July the 1st, she would have done a better job of trying to find a place in Potomac sooner, so they wouldn't be rushing and doing what they're doing now, having to head back to Colorado. While she's telling the ladies this, you see Jazzy asking Giselle, like, what's going on, because she doesn't know what people are talking about. And Giselle is like, oh, she getting evicted. And Jazzy's like, what? And then as Angel is explaining herself, both Jazzy and Giselle, or somebody says this sounds like crazy, or like this doesn't sound right, the way that Angel is explaining her story. So she basically tells Ashley, I did not get evicted home, girl. And I said, that's all you got for them, Angel? They are saying you got evicted. You should have been like, first of all, my living situation is none of y'all business. And I invited Tia and Kiarna over, and I told them, so clearly one of y'all ran back and told them that I got evicted, which is out of line and disrespectful, because that's not the case. I messed up on the dates. I didn't book the house the way I needed to book it. And now we heading back to Colorado, where I do own my house. Do any of y'all own your house? Like, I don't understand why Angel ain't got no smoke at the table. Okay? Especially not for Tia or Kiarna. I feel like you should have smoke for Tia, because you know that Tia is the one that ran back to Giselle. Okay? So you have Ashley and Stacey both saying, what's the definition of eviction? You have Ashley being like, girl, the definition of eviction is like ejection, ousting, like kicking out. I think that's what happened, but that's not what happened, Ashley. And then Kiarna's in the confessional saying, like, I've known Angel for 20 years. Eviction and her name in the same sentence doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, yes, you know her for 20 years, but yet you're not speaking up. Because in the confessional, Kiarna is like, leave my friend alone. Why can't you say that at the table? Like, I would expect my friend of 20 years to be like, y'all leave her alone. Leave her alone. She's fine. They're fine. It ain't that deep. Let's move on. So then Ashley ends up asking Angel, did you move to Potomac purposely for the show? And Angel is like, nah, that's not true. So then in the confessional, she's like, I moved here for Ashley, Giselle, and Wendy. Girl, no. And I'm like, well, girl, I'm giving up on Angel. I am. I'm just gonna let it go. So then Eddie is talking to the men, and he's talking about it's him and Wendy's 15th wedding anniversary, and she won a new ring. When I tell you production went back and tried to show how Wendy and Eddie spend such an exorbitant amount of money, because we never really got these scenes with Wendy and Eddie. Like we would never get this if this information didn't come out about the fraud situation. Because I'm like, y'all purposely left that in there when that could definitely be a throwaway scene. We then see Charisse trying to talk to Stacy, Timu, and Arabella. She has on lingerie. At first I thought Stacy was egging it on, like, just exaggerating. Y'all, I think it's see-through. Like, she has on pasties. I said, now, girl, why did you pull a Ice Spice? You are at a family event in front of children. Why do you have that on, Charisse? And Stacey is like, first of all, why are you talking to me? Be gone. And I was like, yes. Like, why are you in her face, Charisse? And I like you, but like, you were disrespectful and you tried to pile on her at the Reasonably Shady event. So why are you trying to be all chummy and friendly with her? So we then see Timu say goodbye to Wendy and Eddie. He said he would appreciate meeting them. And Stacy says she purposely brought Timu so that he could have a conversation and meet Wendy and Eddie, because Wendy's friendship means a lot to her. And then he left after 32 minutes. Now, I told y'all in the episode 11 portion, I felt like he was there longer, but this is how editing, they do a lot of editing, because when Angel was 2 hours late, Stacy was there when Kiarna called. So it seems as though he was there for only 32 minutes, but then they jumbled everything together, because I was like, he had to have stayed longer, but I'm guessing based off of the way they cut and chopped and screwed the episode, he left in 32 minutes, which I don't really blame him. Like, he showed face, he was there with his family, and he left. It is what it is. He ain't getting paid. Well, at least we saw him. We don't get to see Giselle's boyfriends. So then Wendy lets it be known to Giselle and Ashley that Timu left. So they're like, oh, so we're supposed to handle him with kid gloves? Like, we're supposed to be nice to, like, I was like, no, the man didn't even talk to y'all like that. He basically left, and like Wendy said, he probably is still nervous to be around the group. So then Giselle being shady was like, I thought he was one of the rec workers. She was like, clearly Timu doesn't know how to have fun. No, he just doesn't want to be around y'all. And who could blame him? So the event continues on. We see Charissa's son, Jackson, gets there. He's 27. Ashley is 37. Basically, we find out 2 days before this event, Charisse, Giselle, and Ashley sat down. And Ashley reveals after the crab boil that happened during season 8, she was inebriated. Jackson drove her home. And before, she went inside her place. He came inside. No, I think after he came inside her place, he went to the bathroom. But when he came out to give her back her key or something, they kissed each other, or he kissed her. I said, Ashley, in what world do you think this is cute? In what world do you think this is cute? Then she ends up asking Charisse, would you feel some type of way if we did a little bit more? And on Watch What Happens Live, Ashley made it seem like they had sex. And I'm like, Ashley thinks she's charming and she thinks that this is cute, but it actually makes you a creep, because you met him when he was probably 17 or 16 years old and you were 27 or 26. That's weird. Weird, Ashley. It's not cute. You got more in common with Michael than we think, because that's perverted. And this also tells me Ashley has nothing going on. Ashley, this needs to be Ashley's last season as a full-time housewife. She needs to be demoted to just being Giselle's friend, because she keeps throwing things out there and trying to make it stick. Like, you brought Josh on the show to break up with him, to let the world know that he's too poor for you, only to be on Watch What Happens Live and you're still dating him. He's a dummy and has low self-esteem, because ain't no way you gonna break up with me on national television and think I'm gonna spin the block with you. No way. And so they're still together. Ashley brings her sister, who we know has been living with her alcoholic father for all of her life, because the girl has to be every bit of like 18 or 19 years old, going to her first year in college. And you peddling a story to us that is like basically 9 seasons old, maybe 9 or 8 seasons old, because even that wet pasty demon of a man that you marry told you that Sheila needs to create boundaries, and you need to create boundaries with Sheila, because she's not giving up on that man. She been with that man for 23 years, Ashley. You know your mama not leaving him. You know that. And now this story with Jackson. Ashley is a creep. Because I can guarantee you, if any of my dad's like frat brothers hit on me, it's up and it's stuck. He not letting it go. And if I were to bring them to my house, he would be over it. Over it. So I'm like, Ashley, this is gross. Ugh. Yeah. So they play tug of war. And all this stuff. The games actually look fun. I think Jazzy's team won. Like, Angel didn't even participate because she's in her feelings. Honestly, if I was Angel, I probably would have left. Then they play this pony game where they have these inflatable ponies. And Tia and Angel have a conversation where she's like, you know, I mean, y'all know I'm going through something. And y'all know I'm moving. I didn't need everybody to give me this type of energy. And I'm like, honestly, Angel, you should be cussing Tia out because Tia's the one that ran back and told Giselle. And then Giselle gets on the mic and she's like, Angel, I know you got a lot to talk about, but we not doing that. If you ain't going to be playing games, then get off the field. I said, girl, I would have told Bobby, get my child, let's go. Let's go. Because, no ma'am. And so Angel is like, girl, you out here saying that I got evicted. Now you're trying to be buddy with me to play some games. I said, that's why you should have left. And now she's like reconsidering inviting them all to Colorado. Well, you the one that did it. You should have told them no. Or just invited the people you want to be there. So they all start eating the food. Cameron had me tickled. She looks at one of the plates they have. It's an American flag on it. And she was like, is that a Donald Trump plate? And Stacey is stunned because she's the one getting people's plates together. And she was like, no, it's an American flag. And she said, same thing. I said, oh, I can't. So then Giselle, Greg, Kiarna are having, they're sitting at the same table together. Giselle basically says in her confessional that Greg is not going to marry Kiarna because Kiarna went back to him and he knows he can do whatever and she'll always come back. Granted, I don't think she's wrong, but I'm like, why would you say that publicly and you supposed to be cool with the girl? I wonder if Kiarna is going to have something to say about that. Then Stacey is peddling this potato salad. She wants everybody to taste it. And Cam actually tasted it and she said it was pretty good. But I don't know if she was saying good because she has manners and she didn't want to be disrespectful. Then Eddie was like the next person. And Stacey was like, taste it. Eddie is flavorful. Eddie's like, I got a lot on my plate. And she was like, taste it. He said, it's actually pretty good. She's like, don't you want to take another bite? And then Wendy's like, yeah, take another bite. I said, y'all, was her potato salad nasty? Then we see a conversation between but Jackson and Ashley, where they're like having small talk. And Sharice's looking at them. And then I think either Wendy or Kiarna overhear that they kiss. And Wendy is the one like, what you mean y'all kissed? And Stacey is like, ugh. Like, I would have took that to my grave. Stacey's like, I would not have admitted that. And you hear Wendy say, girl, I better not see none of y'all kissing my kids. Stay away from my sons. Okay? And then Tia was like, well, I think Ashley's hot. I said, you have low standards. You do. You think Rachel Maddow is attractive. I don't think Rachel Maddow is an ugly woman, but sexy is not a word that I would put with Rachel Maddow in one sentence. I would not do that. I wouldn't. And then Kiarna says, nobody is safe around Ashley. How's your coochie? How's your young son? The world is Ashley's. And mind you, I'm so glad in the Carlos King interview that Stacey did that she checked Ashley and Giselle because she said, so I'm not safe or not to be trusted around husbands and children, but Ashley out here kissing on people's sons. I said, yeah, clock it. And Sharice actually had something to say about this because everybody was like taking note of how she kind of just let it happen. So she said this on Instagram. She said, honestly, I didn't believe it. One thing I know for sure is that no matter how I respond, people will take issue. I have not been edited to represent my real personality over the years. At this point, I am 60 and just want to pop in and have fun with the group of ladies. I don't mind meaningful conversations, but to flip out just for cameras over a fake or petty issue is not my thing. And so I guess she's saying that she did not believe that what Ashley was telling her was true. I think she thought it was made up. But then now with Watch What Happens Live and Ashley is saying like, no, we did a little bit more. I think now Sharice feels some type of way. I also think she is taken aback by everyone like being like, girl, why didn't you freak out about this? But yeah, it seems like she really didn't know. Because there were other people in her comments that were like, your point of view is understandable. And she responded to them by saying, you make a valid point. I can see the disrespect now. At the time filming, I didn't believe it. One thing I do know for certain is that there was no real friendship in this business, or there are no real friendship in this business. So she's pretty much saying Ashley is not her real friend. And I mean, Giselle isn't either, because Giselle has known Sharice way longer than Ashley. And I'm like, girl, you should have checked her then and there. But I guess Sharice is saying, girl, I ain't know. I didn't think it was real. And I said, girl, ew. So basically, that's the end of that scene. The next scene we have is of Tia and Rob trying to get their kids to do chores. Their son is funny because he really thought he was doing something where he was like, well, what about me? Like, I put up my Doritos. And she was like, well, no, you opened a bag of Doritos, then you left them, and then you came back and threw them away. I was like, yeah, do you want a cookie for that? That's what you're supposed to do. I don't understand why Tia is waiting until they're 10, 14, and 16 to teach them how to take care of themselves. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, excuse me, by the time me and my sister were like in middle school, we knew how to cook and clean. Like, it was very much like my parents started early with us taking care of ourselves. Like, I'm looking at Tia like, you don't, why we wait? That's what I'm saying. And it's not, you normally we see it with boys, but I'm telling you, staying in an all girls dorm will teach you that girls ain't no different. They could be just as nasty as boys, because I will never forget being in the shower early in the morning and like this girl's pad floating into my stall. Oh, I was sick. I was so over it. I was so over it. I was like, first of all, why do you have a pad in the shower? Like, why would you bring your pad to the shower? Like, all the stories I could tell you being in an all-girls dorm. Wild, bro. And then I'll never forget my sister. She did a summer internship before her freshman year. And there was a girl who was a part of the program that she was in. And I think it was like a 7 or almost like 8-week program. And the girl's mom would drive up to the school and wash her clothes every weekend. And I think my sister said that her mom lived like maybe 40 or 30 minutes away from the school. And she would come up every weekend and wash her daughter's clothes. And I was like, that is wrong. Like, why does your child not know at the age of 18 how to wash their own clothes? Like, granted, my dad can't stand the way I wash my clothes, but because he is very like, darks go with darks, whites, lights. Like, you got to read the tag, Leah. That's how my daddy is. And I'd be like, throw it all in there with certain items. But yeah, that, like, people enable their kids. So we have that. We find out that Tia's sister is coming into town. She lives in the capital of Nigeria. And pretty much find out that her mom did not sign up to be a sister wife, that her dad ended up having 2 kids while they were married. And Tia says that she was team mom and she probably would have had a better relationship with her sister had she been more receptive. But when she found out that she was having a sister, or she had a sister and a brother, she was 12 years old. So she was like, yeah, I was riding with my mama and my mama wasn't really like kind towards them. So I wasn't going to be kind towards them either. And I feel like that's pretty common. Like, people love their moms. And if your mama not rocking with them, then we not rocking with them either, you know? But she said they did not reconnect until her father passed away. And since then, they have had a better relationship. We then see Stacy and Timu. Timu has moved back into the house. They're working out together. You can definitely tell that Timu is a white man because Stacy was doing like ball squats. Like, she had the inflatable ball on her back and she was like squatting with it. And she was like, is this going to give me a big butt? And he was like, I hope not. And cause she was like, well, the girls say I need a big, like a more butt in the back. And he was like, no, you don't. And most of the white guys that I have like dated or talked to, they always are like, they want like, they like titties. They don't really like booty. Like, unless they are like deep south, like southern white men. But if it's given like, you know, boating white men, they want titties. They get very Orange County vibe, you know, stick thin with some big boobies. So when he said that, I said, yeah, girl, he don't want you to get thicker. He likes the lean shape. And Stacey does have a nice body, but I do think she could do with just a little bit of booty, But you know what? They seem really happy, and Timu seems a lot more relaxed with the cameras. Like, they actually kissed and he was smiling at her. He didn't seem so stoic. So I do think the cameras is what makes him uncomfortable, but it was nice to see them getting along. So I was like, that's cute. Arabella seems happy that her family is back together, but Timu is still keeping his house. We then see this scene of Angel and Bobby talking about how they want to do Wanderlust retreats and have this very like mindful trip with the women. And I'm just like, Angel, oh, girl, I just feel like they already told you when you did that sound bath situation that they wasn't rocking with it. I feel like you need to make Colorado fun. Do these women look like they go hiking? Do they look like they fish? Do they look like they camp? No. So I feel like she's already setting herself up for them to complain and be irritated with her. And I mean, she also says that she's going to get them other accommodations because she does not want them to disrespect her under her roof, which I agree with. Don't have no people disrespecting your house and messing up the energy and the feng shui and stuff. But it's like, you don't take people who don't hike, who don't fish, camp out outdoors like that and expect it to be such a good time. You have to like prepare people for that. And I feel like she's setting herself up for failure. We then get to Wendy and Eddie's house. The renovations actually look really nice. Now she want to put a pool in the back. We see her have a conversation with her dad. He seemed very like, he doesn't want to actually really admit that he abandoned his family. When she brings up the fact that when they were in Nigeria, that they were there for almost a month and he did not take the time to see her and that hurt her, he said something to the effect of like, let's not go back. Like, we can't cry over spilled milk. And I'm like, Wendy, that should tell you that that man is not willing to actually sit with that he abandoned his family. Like, he abandoned you and your sister and your mom, and whatever you think, like if you want a sincere apology from him, he's not going to give it to you. And I guess because she's not putting expectations on it, she's okay with what she's getting from him. She looks like her father. I will say it was kind of crazy how excited he was to see Eddie versus her. And I said, girl, that should tell you about your daddy. But I do think Wendy is living in this state of delusion where she was like, you know, I felt a void when my dad left. I may not have known what was going on, but there were happy moments. And I was like, yes, those are happy moments when you are a child. And they do count in the grand scheme of things, but they don't count for a lot, girl. He's missed like 40 years. Like, well, Wendy's 40 now, right? Yeah, because she turned 40 last season. So he's missed 33 years of your life. Like, him leaving when you were 7, girl, yeah. He need to apologize. He needs to apologize. So the next thing we have is of Giselle. And she is talking to a fundraiser for the National Brain Tumor Society. Okay. She has helped them raise money. Her and Ashley are still working with GNA, and she says this is something that makes her feel closer to her father. We find out that the situation with the will is still going on, and they haven't heard back, and that's Giselle's scene. So then we find out that Kiarna has officially moved back in with Greg. We see the U-Haul boxes. She says, this is different from when she moved in last time. When she was moving the boxes in, Greg is moving the boxes in now. And she's like, she knows her mom is not fully happy with her decision, but at the end of the day, she knows she respects her decision, and this is her choice to do this. She says that her and Greg now have a newfound commitment and a new understanding and love. And she said the ring will be the cherry on top to their relationship. Kiarna, you sound stupid. And what I mean by that is, I have no problem with people saying, hey, I don't want to get married. I would like to be in a long-term partnership. I actually have friends who are in those types of relationships, but they have all the paperwork. They're not legally married to each other. But I tell my friend, girl, that's your husband. You may not legally, but you've been together with him for like 15 years. That's your husband. That's your husband, girl. But my friend and her partner have an understanding that they don't want to get married. Like, they're cool with where they're at. Kiarna wants to get married, and she sounds stupid to me because you're trying to convince yourself that everybody else is the one that is trying to push you to get a ring. Yet, in your communication with Greg, you want that ring. When we met you, you said when you move in with Greg in the house that y'all were building, you expect a ring within a year. You want to be married, and I don't see nothing wrong with that, but you're selling yourself short, trying to lie to us, saying that that's not what you want, and the ring, though, is the cherry on top. Lies you tell from the pits of hell. So next thing you know, Greg says he has a gift for Kiarna. He put roses and in the gift box in a U-Haul box. He's like, I'm like Mr. Biggs from the show. You don't want to compare yourself to Carrie Bradshaw and Mr. Biggs. That man played in her face, and she was a bird brain. But maybe that is what this is, because he left her at the altar, and yet she still married him. Made no sense to me. I had to let it go. So she pulls out these red roses. They're actually really pretty. And then she sees a bag from the store at Radcliffe's. And, she's getting super excited because she's thinking it's a ring. I said, girl, it's not that. So then when she opens it, it's a picture frame. And Greg's talking about, we can put our first picture in this house together in that. Mind you, the picture frame was $130. I said, do you know you could have got that same picture frame from Michael's, Hobby Lobby, TJ Maxx, Marshall's, Ross, Home Goods, Kirkland's, At Home, Walmart or Target? Well, let's scratch off Walmart. Potentially Target. And you didn't have to drop $130, sir. And it's not that cute of a picture frame. So she's in her confessional saying, me and Greg are both Sagittariuses, 2 fire signs coming at each other, but we understand each other. I said, I guess. So then she tells Greg, it's been a journey, and I'm totally fine with where we're at. She's like, the condo is still Kay's condo, and it's completely in my name. And I like that. But she's like, what do you think about when we get married? Is my name going to be on the deed to this house? And so Greg says, if you get married, and she's like, but let's talk about when you get married. So then he's like, when we get married. And he says, so when you get married, he's not even putting we in there. He's not saying if we get married or when we get married. He's saying if you get married or when you get married. Are you not picking up the context clues, Kiarna? Open up your mind. He don't want that. He don't want that, girl. He don't. And so Greg Bexley says that he doesn't want to stay in that house but for 5 years. And Kiana says, yeah, 5 or 6 years, and then we moving out. I said, girl, okay. I don't know. Again, she too pretty for this. So then we end up seeing Tia and her sister go out for, I guess, lunch. They have a conversation about their relationship, and they do look the same to me. It's funny how, like, you can have different parents, whether it be like same dad, different moms, or same mom, different dads, and y'all still will have similar features. Like, DNA is cool to me, like the way genetics works, because they both have the same nose. And I said, y'all probably got that from your daddy. So they're having a conversation, and Tia's like, do you think my kids remembered you? And she was like, yeah. The sister's like, I felt like a lot of love from them. And as the conversation continues on, they get emotional talking about their father. And Tia even admits, like, I probably would have been more receptive to getting to know you had my mom been more open, but I was on my mom's side. And so then they talk about their dad passing away, and how after he died, I think Tia was the one that immediately like called the sister and said, she was like, it was awkward because that was the first time they really communicated to each other. And she was just like, I just want you to know that you're loved. And then they start crying, and they're both like, that's how she was like, maybe you weren't going to be like a bad sister to me. And they're rekindling their relationship. I do like how Tia said, I hope we live past our parents and we create our own family, because this is what matters. And she also brings up how her dad wanted to invite her half siblings to her wedding, and she said absolutely not. Like, this is not about you, it's about me. She also brings up how she was embarrassed. Like, she was like, what are my like friends gonna say? But she says she now realizes that her father wanted them to just be together. But also, that's not your cross to bear. Your dad cheated on your mom and had 2 kids, not 1 but 2. And it was his responsibility to own up to his wrongdoing, but also try to cultivate a relationship between you guys when you were kids. And if he did not take that initiative, that's his fault. It is. But I'm also looking at your mom. Like, if she stayed with your father after this, because she hasn't really given us a clear timeline of when her parents divorced or like how old she was, then I'm also looking at your mom. At the point in which you decide to stay in this relationship, knowing this man had 2 kids on you, you can't be mad at them kids. You could be mad at the, the side chick and your husband, but them kids didn't ask to be here. So you should treat them with kindness and respect. And the mom should have been receptive to trying to cultivate a relationship between them, because that's their siblings. Like, you stayed with them. It'd be totally different if you left them and you like separated yourself completely from him and them kids. But you stayed with that man if you did, Tia's mama. So you should have did a better job. The last scene we have is Wendy's. We're at Wendy's house, and girl, a mess. So Ivy and the mom are invited over. When I tell you the wigs on Ivy and Mama Susie were horrible and atrocious. Also, I don't know if Mama Susie is bleaching or if that's just foundation. Because I've seen people bleach before. They normally look Caspery. She looks like she has caked on the wrong foundation, and them color contacts don't make it no better. No better. My God, on today. So Wendy is saying she hopes her mom likes the renovation and that she is proud of her. And the mom is actually like impressed. She likes it. They're eating food together. And the mom is just like, you did a really good job. This must have cost you an arm and a leg. I said, ooh, girl. And Wendy says, yeah, it was pretty pricey, but it was worth it. So as they're sitting down, Wendy ends up telling her mom and her sister that she reached out to her father, and it actually was a, positive conversation. And she was like, it made her very optimistic, and he's optimistic about the future. You could tell right then and there her mama was over it. The way her mom was eating that jollof rice, her mama was over it. And I said, girl, okay. So Ivy tells Wendy, I just don't want you to get your hopes up. And because he's notorious for disappointing people. And she also says, I don't want you to put him on this pedestal like he's been there for you all this time when he hasn't been there for you. Like, yes, he's your father and he birthed you. I mean, Mama Susie get pissed, and she's like, birth you? No, I birthed her. And I'm like, Ivy was basically saying he helped create her, because you wouldn't have Wendy without the sperm. Like, you know, you have the egg, he has the sperm, together y'all make an individual, you know? But the mom was like, I gave birth to her. And Ivy's like, correct. And then Mama Susie's like, he's a sperm donor. I said, ooh, okay. So next thing you know, things get pretty heated, and Wendy ends up telling her mom, like, can you hold on a second? Because the mom is getting riled up, because she's like, he didn't take care of y'all. I did that. Me. Okay? And so Wendy points her finger and is like, can you hold on? And do you hear her tell her sons to take Cameron upstairs, like to tell the kids to go upstairs? And I don't know. So here's the thing. I'm Black American, okay? Okay. Even I knew when Wendy did this, I said, girl, you shouldn't have did that. And I'm not saying Wendy is all the way wrong. To me, both sides had valid points, but both sides were wrong, because I'm like, Wendy, you already know how your mom feels about this man, and it does feel like you're trying to put your dad on a pedestal. He hasn't been here for 30-something years. He left your mama. But also, your mom did get remarried because you talked about your stepfather, and he was in your life till you were 29, okay? And I think he came into your life when you were like 15. All right. But what I'm trying to say is that finger, when someone's already heated, it kind of feels like you're, well, you just should have been like, y'all go upstairs while we have a conversation. Okay. So Susie ends up saying, don't point your finger at me. I said, oh, girl, here we go. Here we go. So she stands up and she said, don't be disrespectful to me like that. And so then the mom's like, I'm pissed. She was like, don't piss me off anymore than you've already pissed me off. Okay. And so she was like, you over here trying to update me about this man, a man who left me, who abandoned me, and I had to work 4 jobs, all the money I had to put you through college with. I said, oh, mama was in her bag. So Wendy says in her confessional, the feelings my mom has are still deep about what my dad has. She has a lot of resentment towards my dad, but don't take that out on me. Send that to my dad, not me. So then Wendy's like, I'm sending the kids upstairs and you're upset with me because I don't want them to hear how you're speaking about their grandfather. And she was like, I don't want them to hear that. So then Ivy says, yeah, but Wendy, your presentation was off. And it slightly was with the finger, but still there was a better way that Susie could have reacted to this. All right. And the conversation continues on. Eddie has left the kitchen. He went to his office because he was like, girl, I'm going to let them have it. So then Ivy says, you're protecting an image of their grandfather that has not been in their life. And then Mama Susie is like, a grandfather they have not seen. And I was like, and that's the thing. Susie was making good points. Like, Wendy does kind of have her dad on this pedestal, and it doesn't make sense because it's like, your dad hasn't been here, sis. Susie has. And granted, I'm not saying the way that Susie behaved was right, because I'd have told Susie to get about my house real quick, especially when she was like, get lost. And I'm like, girl, I send you a stipend. You can get the fuck out this house. You ain't going to be speaking to me like that when I pay your bills. Do you want to end up in a nursing home? Go stay with Ivy. See, and that's the thing. We would have been yelling in that house. Because the funny thing is, I was watching this episode with my mom, and my mom was so like, she was like, oh my God. She said, now I've told y'all to be quiet a couple of times, but I would never tell you to shut the F up. Like, oh my God. Like, yes, like we would have been arguing in that house. Like, I don't know how Wendy was like, at first I was like, Wendy, you a little too calm for me, because I would have got with my mama. It'd have been what's up. So Susie starts talking, and Wendy tries to say something, and she's like, don't interrupt me. She was like, you flew halfway across the world and he didn't show up, which is true, Wendy. Which is true. So then Susie started trying to cry. And so Wendy was like, see, you just want to show out because of the cameras. You're not about to do that with me. And so then Susie was like, no, you're insulting me. You're insulting me. You're calling me an idiot. I said, she did not call you an idiot, Susie. What are you talking about? And then she's like, you're disrespectful. You're disrespectful. You come in here and you doing all of this. So then Eddie comes in and they start screaming, bring Eddie out. Bring Eddie out. And he has on a bring Eddie out t-shirt. And Eddie is trying to calm down the situation. And so you hear Ivy say, Mom, lower your voice. Like, lower your voice. And so then Wendy's like, finally, Ivy, you let her speak to me like this and you not saying nothing? You not saying nothing? So then Ivy said, girl, don't get that tone with me. And she was like, okay. So then Susie is holding Eddie's head in hands and she's like, your wife's out of control. So Wendy says, I'm out of control. How am I out of control? How am I out of control? And so then Wendy starts to get emotional where she's like, y'all do this every time and you're upsetting me. So then that's when the mom's like, shut up, Wendy. Shut up. And so she was like, shut the Wendy. And so Ivy's like, Mom. And so she was like, and so then Susie says, you have an attention-seeking disorder. I said, oh my gosh. And so Wendy starts to get real emotional. And so then Ivy and Mama Susie leave because she's like, I want them to go. And so Ivy said, you telling us to get the F up out your house? I said, she should have been done did that way before. Because I'd have told y'all to get out my house real quick. Real quick. Cause you're not gonna be yelling at me in the house I pay bills for. No, ma'am. And so that's when Mama Susie says, that man doesn't support you. She was like, when you told us about him reaching out to you, we supported you. We didn't tell you to go do this stupid stuff and contact him. And then they just leave. So then Wendy talks about how this is why she wants a relationship with her dad, because she was like, it's always 2 against 1. And she was like, that's why I've been wanting to have a relationship with him, because I'm always by myself. And then Eddie's like, no, you not. I got your bag. But the thing is, Mama Susie and Ivy had good points. I wish Ivy did a better job of de-escalating the situation, but she is right, Wendy. Your dad hasn't been there. It does seem like you're trying to protect an image of a man that did not do enough to protect you. He abandoned you. And then he doesn't want to apologize for how he left you. So I'm not saying that Mama Susie's feelings are not valid, because they are definitely valid, but the way that she went about it was nasty. It was very nasty. And you can tell that Wendy feels responsible for her mother's feelings. And that's a tricky place to be in. It also showcases why Wendy strives for a sense of perfection in her life and in her presentation, is because she probably feels like if I give my mom certain things, if I show up a certain way, then she has to like me. She has to respect me. She has to be proud of me, when your parents should be proud of you. Like those things, like respect, should be given. Caring about my feelings should be given if you are my parent. And it doesn't seem like Mama Susie really cares. But because that was nasty. She had valid points, but that was nasty, Suzanne. And it wasn't a good look. But that was the end of the episode. So as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Any other, Feliz Navidad. Any other holidays. Or if you don't even if you're not a person that celebrates holidays, I just hope you have a great day on Christmas Eve and Christmas, Chill, have a good time, drink you some eggnog, and, again, chill. Because it's, girl, this year, my God, on the day. But I'm out, y'all. Deuces.